video, but I kind of had a thought the other day that I really wanted to do a video kind of like all of my heartbreaks and what they taught me. Because at the moment, I'm lucky enough to be in a lovely relationship. Don't know how I scored this guy, honestly. He is an angel. Obviously annoying as fuck, like all boys are. But I just love him and it's lovely, and I think it's funny to look back on even me a year ago, feeling so sorry for myself, thinking I'm never gonna meet a guy that I like. I can't imagine meeting a guy that I like. I can't imagine meeting someone that I like that likes me back. I can't imagine meeting someone that's nice. I can't imagine having a healthy relationship, which is sad, but anyway. And you know, like I just want to say, disclaimer, boyfriends and finding someone is not the end goal of life and shouldn't be anyone's priority. I got in a stage where I was just feeling a bit sad and lonely, I guess, and I felt like I was ready to have that someone to share stuff with, and I kind of had a realization that like I don't need anyone to share it with. If I want to do something, I can go do it. And I think independence and being okay with being alone and being happy single and kind of just really getting to know yourself and loving yourself is so important, especially like in your 20s. I think your 20s are the time you should be so single and you should go through it all, have nothing holding you back, and just kind of live your life. Like, I don't know, I'm really grateful for that single time. There's a quote, I used to love this: unless it is crazy, passionate, extraordinary love, let it go. Because there are too many mediocre things in life and love should never be one of them. And I just love that quote. I thought, what a quote to live by. I just wanted to say that because I don't want to come across like I'm saying boyfriends are everything and you need to find a boyfriend and that's your end goal, because it's not. What I'm trying to say is, unless they are benefiting your life and adding to your life and you are happy, so happy, and I'm not talking happy some of the time, I'm talking happy all of the time, don't bother. It's not worth it. Go live your life instead. Have fun with your friends. Don't have responsibilities. Don't be locked in a relationship. But if you find that special someone, sure. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, like there's more to life. This video is not meant to be like how I found the love of my life or one of those cringe videos of like how to find love. I'm not saying that at all. I want to say what my breakups have taught me, because now that I'm in a healthy relationship and happy, it's bizarre to me to look back and be like, what? How the fuck did I put up with that shit back then? And why did I stay in it? It's just bizarre. So this will be fun, reliving my ex-boyfriends. Let's start with, I was 14, he was 16. This was like a high school romance. I wasn't really allowed to see him because he was too old for me, but I did. And he was very pressure-y. Naive me thought we were in love, but really he liked that I had boobs and he probably wanted to take my virginity. All of my friends would tell me he was a dick. A lot of girls in my grade would tell me that he asked them on webcam to show him their tits. Webcam, by the way, if you're not a 90s kid, you might not have heard of MSN, but it's like, you know, you used to video chat. It's like FaceTime, I guess, but you'd always be on with different people, and the fact that your boyfriend would be on with a girl in your grade, that's weird. So this girl like screenshotted the chats and what he'd said to her and everything, and I was like, what the fuck? Devastated. Still stayed with him though, thought he loved me, don't know, dumb. So that was my first kind of like, I've got attention from an older boy, I feel special, I am such a romantic, hopeless romantic that I thought, you know, beautiful. It was like maybe like a 3-month relationship. It really wasn't that big of a deal. That breakup devastated me. I remember writing songs about like how heartbroken I was, like real depressing songs. I remember bonding with this guy in my grade who was a bit of like an emo kid, I guess, and like him sending me like albums of like real emo music and him being like, yeah, I feel like you'll relate to this because you've gone through like emotional hardships, and like, lol, hilarious. Anyway, what I learned from that relationship was that boys will use you for your body, and like luckily I gave him pretty much nothing, but I was very aware after that of, damn, like some people just want your body. They think with that rather than that or that. So I guess that kind of taught me to make sure that I have someone who actually likes me for me, and I guess not rush into it. Like, me and him dated like straight away. So yeah, fast forward a few years, I started dating a guy who I'd known for years. We were friends for years. We were in the same band for years. Our mums knew each other, our families knew each other. And it was a very nice transition from friendship to relationship. So that was a great start. We both loved music, we had a lot in common. We moved in together, actually only 6 months into our relationship, which that's what I learned from that. Never move in, never rush the move in part, because honestly, we were 17, 18, and we just rushed it because it was convenient, and it was horrible. We were both too young for that relationship, too young for it to be that serious. We zoomed past the dating stage too fast. Never rush into living with someone. You do feel stuck because you're in a lease. Also, once you live together, it's so hard to then be like, let's move out from each other but still date. It's kind of like you either break up or you stay together, and you know what I mean? Like, that's how you feel. I recently saw a YouTuber influencer do that with their partner, like move out from each other. They lived together and then they decided, let's not live together for a while and just kind of go back to the dating stage, like take a step back in our relationship but stay together. And it really worked for them. And I thought, like, that's so cool that you can do that, because I just felt like there came a few opportunities for us to move out from each other, but I just felt like that was such a step back and it was a bad thing, but really it might have been a good thing. But anyway, long story short, he had a lot of issues. We didn't work, we clashed a lot. It was very toxic and a lot. So we separated and that was fine. And honestly, that was the best thing. Breaking up with him breaking up with me, I think. It was like a mutual, I don't know, best thing that ever happened to me, because that made me move home. That made me then move to Europe and live in Europe and travel Europe and have the best time of my life. So I'm very glad, because I was that girl who would have never done that without my boyfriend at the time. Like, I'm such a stay with them, not give up on them kind of person. But yeah, this just got ridiculous. So that got really nasty, and I'm just so glad that that happened. So I think as well that taught me that sometimes rejection is redirection, big time. And I was able to look back at that very soon and be like, that was a good thing. Like, I'm glad that that happened, because if it hadn't of, I'd probably still be very unhappy in that relationship. Maybe not now, but I would have been for a while. Okay, the relationship after that, I met a guy traveling. Everything on the books was a yes, like all the things we had in common. We wanted the same things. We both just kind of had this future that we wanted that aligned perfectly, and on paper it was perfect. I won't go into it too much, but what I learned from that relationship, I think it was about a year, we ended up living together for a bit. It wasn't like the other situation. I know that sounds so like hypocritical that I was like, never rush into the moving stage. It was more, we were traveling together a lot, which was nice because you kind of like learn how you are together. I still probably rushed it, but it was a bit like, what can you do if you're living overseas? You know what I mean? But we had the perfect little live-in life. Like, when we lived together, we actually lived with an auntie of mine in England, and we just got a bit comfortable. And I would say I got a bit, I think it was just a bit like, we ended up being friends instead of in love. And it was sad because, yeah, on paper everything was perfect. What I learned from that one, I think, was to be self-aware of, I didn't realize how unhappy I was in the relationship until I kind of met other people and started making friends and seeing how they were living this really happy single life, and me thinking of things I wanted to do but couldn't because I was in a relationship and almost felt restricted by it. I think you've got to sometimes really look at yourself and be like, am I happy in this? I wasn't self-aware enough to be like, this isn't really, we need to spark things up, or we need to talk about this, or you know what I mean? I just woke up one day and was like, damn, I don't love him. And it's actually, it's arguably sadder or harder to realize that than to be the one broken up with. Like, I've been in both boats and it's equally as horrible and it sucks. And so I think I just realized things may be perfect on paper, but you need that spark as well, and you need both, and it needs to be something that you need to keep that fire alive. I'm not saying you need to have sex all the time or anything, but you just need that bit of passion. There needs to be that level of love, and you can't rush into the getting comfortable part, you know, or a routine. You need to keep things spicy. The relationship after that, it didn't start in a great way. We actually worked together, so again, not really ideal. And I don't know how to explain it. It's like, have you ever met someone where you instantly thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble here. Like, there's a spark, there's some chemistry, you get on, and it's almost like, you know you shouldn't go there, but you want to go there. Yeah, it was like that. And those relationships, in my experience, never work out. It's like you know, you go for the bad boy who has a lot of issues, who you know is gonna ruin your life, but you wanna see what'll happen anyway, just because, I don't know, do you know what I mean? And there were so many things from the get-go that I was like, that's never gonna work. Like, you're never gonna be happy with this boy, because there's so many differences and there's so many conflictions. And yeah, it didn't. I can say that was probably the hardest breakup I've ever gone through, and I honestly don't know why, because again, it's like I knew from the start. It's like someone telling you how a book's gonna end. I don't know why I said a book. How a Netflix series, let's be modern, is gonna end, and then you still cry about it for days even though you knew it was coming. Or like rewatching a movie and expecting a different ending and still being sad at the ending. Do you know what I mean? Like, I knew that that wasn't working, that I was unhappy. There was a point, I'm pretty sure I cried every day, and I'd almost act surprised when he'd be a dick or when he'd do something that upset me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a surprise, but it's like he was always that person, and I knew he would let me down. So I don't know why I acted so upset when he did, because it's like, well, it's kind of expected. Long story short of that one as well, pretty nasty breakup, back and forth for probably like a year. Couldn't really like let each other go in a very toxic way. And I think that relationship taught me that the spark isn't everything, which I know again sounds contradictory to the last one, but it's not. You need to have both. You need a spark and you need the other stuff. The spark isn't everything. I was so hung up on how could I feel so strongly about someone when I first see them and then it not work out? Like, what is the point of having that, oh my god, this person, like you just feel so intense about it. How can it then not work out? Like, how can it not be for you? How can it not happen? Like, how do so many things line up in your head or in your heart, I guess, but then other aspects, important aspects, not match up? You need to look at the logic sometimes. You can't, that's a good way to put it. Don't always go with your heart. Again, so conflicting to what I've said, but like I am such a go with your heart always. Like I'm such an empath. I'm such a feeler, emotions, like I'm run by my emotions. I always go with my heart. And I think you should, to a point. But if your heart is saying, that cliff looks really fun to jump off, would you jump off of it? No, your brain would be like, no, you'd probably die. Let's not do that. I wish it did that for boys, but honestly, I'd say I'm a really good judge of character. But when it comes to boys, my brain just is not listening. And it's like, it knows, like it's still aware, it's still a good judge of character. It just doesn't listen, and it will be like, but maybe you're wrong. You're not wrong. You're never wrong. So I guess that one taught me, go with your gut. No matter how much you think that person will change for you, or that person will love you, or that feeling you have towards that person will make them act a different way, you're wrong. If they're a dick, they're always gonna be a dick, probably. I'm sure there's an exception to the rule, that's fine, but generally, you're not the exception to the rule. Your boyfriend's a dick, or the guy you like is a dick. And it taught me, like, if you are the type of person who feels like you can't give up on people, like I do, like I struggle. I can't give up on people no matter how bad they are. Mostly boys is harder. Like friends I've gotten better at, but honestly I just feel like I'm giving up on them, letting them down, and I can't do that. And that relationship taught me after a long time that you can give up on people, that it's okay, because if they're not gonna be there for you, like why should you keep putting your neck out for them, or why should you keep throwing them a life raft? It gets to a point where you're not putting yourself first, and you need to, and that's what that relationship taught me. You need to put yourself first sometimes. So they are all my breakup stories, and now I'm in a relationship. We haven't broken up yet. Woo, fingers crossed. And I honestly, like, not to be cheesy, but I think I've got a good one here, and it could be a non-breakup story. We'll see. We'll see. And yeah, I just thought, you know what, let's like tell some real dark stories, but show the lighter side of things I've learned and things showing that you can always find a silver lining in something and learn from things that happen to you. I'm a big fan of redirection, not rejection. It's hard to think of in the moment, but with perspective, you can look back and think, I'm so glad that happened. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I rambled a bit and told you my whole life story, but I just thought it'd be fun, something different. So if you did like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!